Us. Welcome back to the new vlog. First vlog of 2023. Figured we would start it with a bang. Ferrari 458. Done a few of these, usually in red, so rare to have a black one. The car is in for a newish car prep. That means it's in for the standard new car package, but as it's nearly new and with limited miles, the work is adjusted ever so slightly. So all the same stuff, wheel removal coating, glass polish coating, paint polish coating. Because it's nearly new, there'll be some more swirls to expect on the paint. Extra decontamination that you probably wouldn't get with a new car, with a brand new car. So just a few other things to address. Going to say right up front and centre, the weather has been absolutely rubbish here over the last week or so, and it was pretty crap when the car was delivered. So no wash process video, unfortunately, and the wheels have already been off and coated, so no video there. I'm going to keep this talking head stuff to a bare minimum. And try and do a little more voiceover work, still trying to condense the videos, keep all the relevant information, keep the fun stuff in, but just try and shorten them a little bit wherever possible. Still long form, but you know, less filler, less wasted time, right? So interesting things to note about the vehicle. It has already had some treatment, and I suspect at the factory. I thought perhaps it had already been coated. Definitely not, definitely just a hard wax, because that died pretty quickly outside during the prep. Already has PPF, so it has an extended kit or a track kit, whatever you want to call it. So it's a front end install with sills and a little bit around the back of the rear arches. Not the best install and not the best quality film, because the fit and fitment is only average, but it's extra protection, and that can only be a good thing. Downside to that is the PPF has been waxed along with the rest of the vehicle, and the PPF is also a little bit swirly, so polish the paint, again to remove swirls and to prepare for coatings. We all know what the supercars are like. We can expect some holograms and some nibbing marks which are to be addressed. And interestingly in this video, and I have documented it, on some of those nibbing marks, I've been able to show you how much lower those areas can be from a paint measurement aspect. So I think I use a paint gauge perhaps a little differently to certainly a lot of the newer guys. So that should be interesting and something that I haven't been able to show you previously, with like areas of concern and stuff. So let's get the paint nice. We're going to have to polish the PPF. Had a bit of sort of pushback from some people in this in the past. I did it on the Aston Martin video, and even though I thought I demonstrated why, how, and that it is perfectly safe, acceptable and advised, some people still either didn't understand or didn't want to understand. So again, I'm going to do that with this, because the machine polishing is not just about removing swirls, which the PPF has. You know, maybe we could heat it up and get rid of those. But because it has been hard waxed, we are preparing it for coatings also. So I want to further break down any waxes, sealants, polymers, etc. that might be on the paint. I want to make sure we've fully removed those. So machine polishing paintwork, machine polishing PPF. Glass has already been machined, but we will also be coating that, so be able to demonstrate that. Cream interior, of course, that's going to need some attending to. So we've got a full complement of Titan coatings going on this. Zeus on the paint, because it just looked Zeus not the best choice for PPF all the time, so we're going to go with PX10 and a top coat of hydro on the PPF, hyperglass on the glass of course, pyro on the wheels, and then leather on the leather, funnily enough. And I think that's about it. It's going to be a wicked good looking car when it's finished. I'd very much like for you to watch the entire video. I will chapter everything as I always do if you're just more interested in specifics, but please, if you've got the time, grab a brew, grab some food, sit down, enjoy it. I will explain everything as we go. We will still keep the workflow stuff. Any specifics will be included, and then of course we'll have the afters at the end. Any comments, questions or criticisms, stick them in the comments below. I always try and answer them wherever possible. If you say something dumb or say something aggressive or fruity, I will probably pin your comment to the top, as I always do. I never hide from criticism, and I definitely never hide from a troll, so I'd rather make an example of you and put you up front and centre. Be warned. Everything else is what it is, so please enjoy. It's a lovely car, it's an interesting job, and I will see you on the next one. Welcome back everybody, time for a little voiceover work. So you should not have needed Columbo's rain jacket to be able to figure out what we're doing here and why we've started where we've started. Everything you can see me inspecting, finding and digging out is not polish residue, it's actually hard wax residue. I hinted before at the whole car having been waxed, including the PPF. And these are the unfortunate results. The problem with a hard wax residue or build-up is if that gets dragged into your pads, worst case scenario, they're brittle little pieces which may form their own swirls and scratches. But more than likely what you're going to do is you're going to melt the wax. That's going to reform over the surface as you move your polish and abrasive about. And then there's a chance that that's going to recure, hindering the strength and bond of our coatings. So job one is dig all of this out slowly and methodically, get out everything that we can from where we can. And lastly, it is a good chance to just inspect closely everything else that we've got to do later on. Just making for a more thorough job long term. machine polishing now, and I'm starting with the bodywork, and then I will move to the PPF afterwards. My mindset here is that polishing the bodywork will be the heavier of the two combinations, so I would rather start with that and then move to the weaker one afterwards. Really just polishing the PPF, it's all about just warming the film up, removing some of the swirls mechanically, but really just preparing it for coatings. Polishing the paint, we do have some work to do here. Combinations are going to be relatively normal, yellow Rupes pads for the most part, with Sonak's Perfect Finish. It is a match made in heaven. It's all going to be done with the random orbital machines, no rotaries here for a change. We will use some heavier combinations on the isolated areas, which I will show you shortly. But for the most part, this is just all about getting into all of the intricate areas that we can that other people won't. Removing just general wash marring, general wash marks. I will give it its dues. The car is in pretty good condition. Whoever has been washing it, I mean, it's obviously been washed minimally, but whoever has been doing it has done a relatively good job, so that does save me quite a bit of work. As always, we will be using FaneLab Pure Rinseless to remove our polish residue, and that will be on all surfaces, paint, glass, PPF, everything. If you haven't seen it on any of my videos previously, I don't know where you've been or what you've been doing, but this just really helps mobilize polish off a panel, pick it up and take it off the panel, thus leaving a cleaner surface. And also just helps with dust control as we go through our job. Polish dust is inevitable, and it is a detailer's worst enemy, so it does pay to just manage it as you go, rather than having to do it in one job at the end with a compressor, for example.
So this is where the rubber really meets the road in terms of vehicles like this. You've just seen three things. The nibbing mark which I highlighted is a defect that has come from the factory. A nibbing mark is a small opaque looking area. It is a small sanding mark that they have used to remove a little piece of dust that will have been in a clear coat. The tool that I was using is a paint depth gauge. What that does is measure the total thickness of all of the paint that is on top of the metal surface below it. So that'll be a total of primer, colour and clear coat. What the tool displayed is a pretty consistent thickness of paint over the panel with a super low area on the nibbing mark. So what we've done is we've found an area of concern, as I like to call it. We've marked it out with a small piece of tape so that we don't forget where it is. And then we've used the paint depth gauge, the tool, to confirm that it is in fact an area that we need to worry about, an area that we need to focus on in an isolated manner. And given the discrepancy in the depths of the measurements, I opted to use a foam pad as opposed to a microfiber pad to massage that area out. It was very low when compared against the measurements around it. I see lower measurements on cars all the time, but the car will consistently be that low, which means it's much less dangerous to polish it. When something is so low in relation to the rest of the panel, that's when you really need to tread carefully. So polish that area locally with a heavy foam pad and a compound, in this case FainLab A50. I'm not going to buff off that residue, don't need to. That polish breaks down, or compound rather, breaks down really well. I will just leave that residue on and I will polish over it later and pick everything up together once again with the FainLab Pure Rinseless. So I'm going to leave you with a little workflow here, finish cutting in around the smaller areas, and then we will get the bigger pad out and do the bulk of the panel. So enjoy. On to the PPF now then. We are sticking with the Sonax Perfect Finish as before, but we have reduced the cutting capabilities of the pads. We are now using a very soft finishing pad. This is the white Buff and Shine foam. This truly is just about removing the most minor of swirls and marring, really glossing out the surface of the PPF. I think this is the worst part of this film, other than the fitment, it's a little bit opaque, not the greatest clarity and not the greatest gloss. So this step is going to make a huge difference. It's going to get rid of the sort of silvery finish that the front end has right now, and make it much more palatable and match the rest of the vehicle. We're not going to overwork the polishes here. As I say, yes, we are trying to get some mechanical cut, but only a very minor amount. This truly is just about surface preparation.
got his first loss, but before that, was doing pretty good. No, I can't find an angle from which someone would convince me that this is a co-main. It's just. Okay, go ahead, Mike, and we're gonna talk more about this. Go ahead.
Has nothing to do with merit or anything like that, but and I am not interested in the fact that this fight card is in the Apex at all. But I will say there's one thing that I enjoy about this fight card being in the Apex, and it is this fight in particular. Because where Devin Clark goes for a fight, that means Devin Clark's dad goes for a fight. Okay. And that dude screaming at the top of his lungs for every second of that fight is just must-see TV for me. I probably won't be seeing it until Sunday.
Surface prep now. This is just to remove any residual oils and lubricants and residues that might be hanging around after the polishing. So this has been my preferred method for, I don't know, the best part of the last 12 months now, I think. I use a solvent-based body shop degreaser on the paintwork. I definitely find that this removes way more residue than anything else that's available from retail stores within the detailing community. But it isn't great for glass. It tends to go quite smeary on glass, and in this case I don't want to use it on the PPF just in case the solvents interfere with the rubberized membrane. So solvent based wipe down for the paintwork, an IPA based wipe down. It's a homemade concoction for the glass, and in this case the PPF also. I will then go ahead and coat glass and PPF first, giving the solvent-based panel prep a chance to flash off to make sure that it doesn't interfere in any way with the ceramic coating bonding, and then we will go ahead and do the paintwork. So as stated before, pyro on the wheels, hyperglass on the glass, PX10 topped with 2 layers of hydro for the PPF, and a layer of Zeus on the paintwork. We'll wipe the whole thing down with Ultra before collection just to be sure, and she will be good to go.
Maybe I'm wrong, and his road to UFC thing has been a massive hit overseas. I have no gauge for it. If there's anyone in our YouTube comments who is again in the Asia region, in that time zone, and you've been watching intently, and it's just crushing it over there as far as level of interest, please let me know. I'm not being sarcastic. I have no gauge for it. I just don't think there is. But again, I'm over here in North America, so obviously it's not hitting the same way wood over here. But I don't know if that, even if it is, I just don't know if that's justification for doing this to the fighters. It's not even about us, Mike.
Amber Heard is a really good example of a kind of classic snowball effect, and you do get these things that just become massive. And again, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard is a very good example because it's sort of an interactive game, isn't it? And that everybody, like court cases, lend themselves to this because it's 2 versions of testimony, 2 versions of the truth against each other. So people can kind of become their own little like mini Columbos, where they're like, did you hear this moment in the testimony? It proves this. And again, it's about turning something from a passive to an active experience. But I think for the people involved, it's often horrible because it feels like you're just being ripped to shreds and, with no concern about you as a human person. Every bit as horrible as the tabloid culture that I grew up with in the 90s.
I think so as well. I tried. It's so funny. Yeah, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp was the other one between like the Tom Cruise stuff. Tom Cruise became a big story because there was a guy from that '70s show, Danny Masterson, who was on trial for another word that I can't say on YouTube, and so the Tom Cruise stuff got big. Tom Cruise made his girlfriends like clean his bathroom with toothbrushes and stuff like that if they said the wrong Scientology thing to him. So I felt with Tom Cruise, you know what? If I'm going to do it, he can take it firstly, as you say. He's got the sort of finances and all those things, and also like he's done some really mean things. So I thought that's all right.
But he's one of the biggest movie stars in the world and absolutely central to our culture. And he is, with the level of involvement that he has in things with Top Gun Maverick and with the Mission Impossible films, somebody who is writing the kind of cultural scripts that we all live by. So like, I think it's perfectly legitimate to interrogate him. I think it's harder when it's people who didn't ask for the publicity. But you are only facing the same challenges now as YouTube creator that I face in a newsroom, right? Which is, I've written a lot of readers, but the case is already made for those things. So
We're going to keep things nice and simple and nice and subtle here. No harsh chemicals and nothing too abrasive. So for this interior work, I want to start with what is essentially the worst areas of the vehicle. So anywhere where shoes may have left mud or rub marks, anywhere where hands and legs may have been for moisturiser and suntan and fake tan and stuff. We're going to get all of that off first with mild APCs and softish brushes. And then we're going to dry them off with some plush microfiber towels. So all of the leather and all of the plastic will be done this way. We'll also tidy up the seals, which are looking quite faded and quite old. Makes a big difference to the overall finish. Once we've done that, we will hoover all of the worst areas out, take the mats out and get any loose debris that we can find out of the vehicle. And then we will finish with the glass so that we know that we are smear free. We'll be using Optimum No Rinse, of course, for the glass as always, and in this case I will also be using it for the interior carbon. If you've got a car that has a lot of electronic screens, a lot of piano black trim, or nice glossy carbon fibre trim, much like the glass, ONR is your best friend. Gets me out every time, finishes crystal clear every time. You must get some of it in your arsenal. It is the best.
include some prepackaged software that could interpret handwriting into text, and it was bad. Like, it really didn't work well. But now, you know, you can get an app on your phone that will scan something photographically and then convert it to a PDF, a searchable